Time flies, guys. 8 weeks out now. 8 weeks out. Almost 8 weeks out. That weekend it will be 8 weeks. So just came back from Bali from the Natural Bodybuilding Summit, which was a phenomenal week. It was amazing. Again, huge thanks to Brandon, Rachel, if you're watching that. And yeah, was very like a new experience. I never did something like that before. Training with a huge group, a lot of like-minded people over there, and just like sharing my experiences, my knowledge, and just having a great time. So yeah, like a little recap with that. So I got to Bali and my suitcase got lost. So that was very stressful, as you can imagine, right? In prep, we also can't take as much stress in a sense. So what would stress us out a little bit in the off season would stress us out quite a lot in prep. So you can imagine I was like quite stressed, and luckily I had like my most important things in my hand luggage. But again, like my favorite, I had zero clothes, basically all my clothes been inside there. So yeah, then right, a little bit stressed out and like uncertain, will I get it back or not? Next day, got a message? The passenger took it, and he didn't want to send it back to my hotel, pay a few bucks, so I had to go all the way to the airport again, an hour ride, picked up my suitcase, luckily all good to go. But yeah, good learning experience, especially in prep. Don't pack your posing trunks in your like luggage, like always in your hand luggage. So your most important things basically. So yeah, no, then after that I was like much more like chill, calm down again, and started over with training sessions. It was like a push, pull, legs, then upper, lower, and was with like big groups of people, like 4 to 5 people, which is like a little bit on the higher end. But hey, I did a lot of like my reps and stuff, which is like came so handy here, because with straight sets, you can imagine when it's a group of 4 or 5 people, it can take quite a big, like long time. And no, it was amazing, like good energy. Undefeated gym, by the way, is also amazing. So when you're ever in Bali, like that gym is just phenomenal. It's amazing, everything there. So the first 2 days I went a little bit too hard, especially that leg session. You might saw some clips there where I went just nuts. And yeah, like that is the thing with those training camps, right? It's like a lot of hyping up, a big group setting, and so on. And I went a little bit out of my usual element of like having a little bit more of a calm training style. And the main reason for that is like, hey, like I felt it the next day. I felt like, much beaten up, like nah, I can't do that again. And then I set myself an own like boundary limit, like, hey, next 2 training sessions I don't go balls to the wall. I train as I usual train, because I'm like in prep 9 weeks out at the time. I just can't handle that. But the purpose of training camp like that is like for people like pushing their limits. Most might need a deload after this week, but yeah, it is a kind of like an unsustainable training approach. What is the purpose there as well of like testing those limits out, right? But like I had to think for myself, like, hey, like all those guys, yeah, I will like push them and so on, but myself, I need to be careful that I don't go like wetline myself. So yeah, easy fix after that, all good. And yeah, always a learning experience. So next time whenever I join a camp like that, okay, like I'll keep I don't go too hard there in a sense. And yeah, and then next thing, I got like a mild Bali belly. So I don't know how I got it. Maybe like the first few days I was using the tap water for brushing my teeth. Like that is like the only thing. In like Bali is amazing, but I feel like, yeah, like how can I say, it's a little bit, not as clean as Thailand. I feel like hygienic and so on, like a little easier like catching something. So yeah, like had like very bloating. Felt just like low energy. I know the difference between prep low energy versus like being a little sick low energy. I had like the mix of both, but I felt also like the little of like, the bloating. I had like massive headaches one day, also like a little fever, chills for one night, but luckily it went away on its own. Still got like still the training and all of that, so it wasn't like really breaking out, where I know like for some it can get very horrible. So I had like a very mild version of that. But that is fine, and yeah, a good challenge. Like in prep, right? Like if it would be a first time, I would definitely not do 8, 9, 10 weeks out. Go on a training camp, go for all of that, because yeah, like it's also requires some experience. Like it's a lot of like out of my usual comfort zone, like my home where I feel the best, my usual routine and so on. So yeah, it was a good challenge. Like I saw that also myself as like a challenge in prep, get a little out of my comfort zone. Like yeah, doing something I never did before in a contest prep. So that was quite amazing. Helped my presentation about my blueprint of like getting like super shredded. I might do a YouTube with the slides as well and do similar like maybe YouTube presentation, like a shorter version of that. So no, all in all, it was an super amazing week. But I'm so happy being back home. It is always like, you are living in the right environment, like so simple. If you miss home, and once you get home, you are just so at peace. Like I open my door, I'm like, oh, like so happy to be back, like smelling my room, like seeing everything. I'm like, oh, nice. Back at it, time to lock in, 8 weeks out. And and that is like the main thing. You live in the right environment when you just can't wait to get back home after like being away from home. So that being said, guys, we had 8 weeks out. I had 3 high days previous week, so 5 low. This week only 4 low. Going to see what it does. Check in with Bernie on Sunday. And and from there we go. So now it is lower biceps. Very, very excited for that. Yeah, and I just love like, hey, training by myself as well on my own. It's just like, it's like the kind of like my me time, form of meditation for me. So as fun as it was training in a big group, definitely prefer like just training by myself, especially in prep, obviously. So I'm very looking forward of like getting into the zone. And man, guys, getting at it. So 69, we are in this consistent 69s now, 69 and a half on average, I believe it is. So now it's getting real, it's getting fun. And so let's go to the gym, ready to go, having my pre-workout sip right there, and let's go. Alright guys, training clips as always, starting off with biceps on legs. And I don't know if I showed you this movement before. My favorite hammer curl variation is like that, like sitting on the bench, which makes me somewhat more stable, using the rope, putting the cable a little bit higher. And and this movement allows me basically of like pushing my elbows out in a sense. And I always like to call it like almost like a rope hammer curl row in a sense. It's like obviously not a row, right? We don't want to use our rear delts too much on this one, but what I honestly just imagine on this movement is just like pushing my elbows out and bringing my hands close to the chest. That is the main cue here. And I'm curious what it does, like on the brachialis muscle and so on. I was doing it before, like sitting on the floor, but with the bench it's just like more practical, especially when I do like my reps here. Hey, I can just sit there, rest a little bit. After this one, we're going to like a facing away bicep curl in between the legs. This movement makes everything like, it makes it a little bit more lengthen biased, a little bit more like mid-range lengthen bias. So instead of facing toward the cable where it's like more heavy on top, with this variation, it's like somewhat heavy within the mid-range. What I really like, it's also very stable in a sense, so I don't have to think a lot. I just think about, hey, like about elbow flexion, extension, and staying in position. So here I was doing like drop sets, and again, my reps, drop sets, it's quite similar. At the end of the day, what we want to achieve with those methods is like getting high tension reps in within a short amount of time. And with arms, it just works so good. So I don't have to take those, like 2-3 minute rest periods in between. I can get a lot of work done just in a short amount of time while staying very focused. So the final movement of the day for biceps is, again, I do this one 2 times a week just because I like that one so much. It feels so good. I do it after all like the previous work, because this one, again, it's very lengthened bias, and like the more lengthened bias the bicep movement is, or any movement, the higher the risk of injury. So I get into that movement quite warmed up, but also a little bit pre-fatigued, so I can't use as much load. And also now getting deeper into prep, I make sure that I don't have like a full on lockout, like leaving that final 10-ish% out of it to, yeah, just make sure my joints, they stay happy throughout. It's still, hey, it's still very lengthened, but it's just not as violent as like getting that full on lockout in here. So yeah, my reps here as well, the activation 10 to 15 reps, and then I work my way up to 10 reps in total again, and that gets me, hey, like I got the equivalent of like, hey, like 12-ish sets in just for biceps. And yeah, while staying super focused, super composed, and primed for legs right after. And right after, we're going to RDLs with like a more T-spine bandy variation again, which feels, yeah, just feels so good. It feels so good. It's just like in a sense of picking something up from the floor. That is what I imagine. Like picking something up from the floor while keeping my knees quite straight, not bending it too much. And that is honestly it. It's just like that motion of like, hey, picking something up. I'm doing 8 to 12 reps on the first set with a little less load. And then on the second set, I ramp up a little with load, bring the reps a little down. Same principle here. It's like, hey, the first set is like warming everything up, getting a few higher reps in. And in the second set, I just more warmed up and can go a little heavier. I just like working within those two, like, yeah, rep ranges for RDLs, where I go a little lighter first and then a little heavier on that second set while everything feels safe. So yeah, getting quite close to failure here. What I really like about that belt squat is, yeah, it just feels so safe and so stable for my hamstring, where each and every prep I, yeah, always pulled my hamstring a little bit on the barbell. So because I'm also quite strong there, like genetically, it's like one of those movements I'm very strong, but with a lot of strength also comes a lot of, yeah, danger at the same time. So with this one though, I feel very safe, which is, yeah, which is amazing. I can push very close to failure without being worried about, yeah, getting hurt. So that is when it comes to exercise selection, like, hey, if there's some movements, hey, they just feel unsafe, prone to injury, I would probably, like, yeah, especially in prep, not do those kind of movements, or be very careful with it in a sense. So yeah, 2 sets here, that is all it takes. After this, we moved on to the hip press right next to it with 3 different stances. The first set with a higher stance, that is the final set, by the way. So the first set higher stance, second set medium, and that is now the lowest stance. Same thing here. I get like a, yeah, like a stimulus in within all the muscle fibers, right? Like each stance like biases like different fibers of the glutes, quads, and so on. And now here with the lowest stance, obviously it's now the most quad bias, but still like with a little of an adductor bias stance. So I have my feet more out, pushing the knees a little bit more out instead of having them like, yeah, like Tom Platz style, super close together. And yeah, that feels good. That feels good each and every time. So if I would start with that stance on the first set, it's always like, my knees, they feel a little bit like, because again, I'm also like very strong if I would do it from the first set. And this way I'm like, hey, I'm fully warmed up and I'm also a little bit pre-exhausted, so I can't use as much load while still getting very close to failure to shoot up all those muscle fibers that I want to like basically, yeah, like activate here. So yeah, 3 sets here. We used 1 set, before it was 4 sets. So for this meso, since prep is getting now deeper and deeper, just a set less on this one and on the pendulum squat, I believe. So instead of 4, we're going for 3 sets here. The next one is adductor machine. Love that Atlantis piece. I maxed out the stack, but hey, it's still easy going within the 10 to 15 rep range for the activation. I just make sure I have, like here, you can see like a brief pause. I, yeah, make sure to make it as challenging as possible. And that's the thing, if you max out a machine, hey, just try to make it more challenging. There's so many ways of like stimulating muscle growth where it's not all about the load. It's like, yeah, especially if a machine you max it out, you need to make use of other methods, like a brief pause here, more eccentric control there, keeping your joints more locked, and so on. There's like many ways of just making movement more challenging, which is the beauty of bodybuilding. It's like there's so many ways of like getting a stimulus in. And yeah, but let's see like next off season if I get, yeah, like way too strong on this one, even with long pauses, eccentrics and so on. Can still use like a kind of like gym pin, I think, on this one. So yeah, that feels amazing. Love the adductor piece. And next one is leg extensions. So there I want to show you the full on set, everything. So again, like I know my reps, like doing that on every movement. I don't want to take too much of your time, guys. But here I just want to see, show you how it looks like, because here I work up to 20 reps in total, which feels amazing. Or not. But yeah, I do 10 to 15 as an activation here, and then I work my way up to 20 reps in total. And I tell you, my quads are toast after that. But I love it. It feels like leg extension is one of those movements where I have to be careful with my patella tendon back from my parkour days, which can easily irritate that. So I have to work with, yeah, lighter loads, high reps, and yeah, make it very, very challenging. So yeah, here I did now the activation. Here you can see I like to rest 20 to 30 seconds. That's the sweet spot. You can also rest too short on my reps, because the goal is with my reps, you want to rest as long as that you still get like, hey, at least 4 repetitions in at least. So if you only are able to get 1 or 2 reps in after, you know you rest too short, or you go way too hard on the activation set. So here now I believe it was 6 reps in after the activation. So there I make sure I also don't go ham on the activation set, because I know I have to work my way up to 20 total. And yeah, and that's how I do it. Like using the seat belt here to really lock myself in and staying focused throughout. That's the thing with why my reps can be a little bit more stressful, is because you have to lock in basically for like 5-6 minutes in a sense. But I like that. I really like that. So here's the next one now. You see like here, boom, 2 reps. Yeah, like very, very, very happy with those sets here. Like 4, 5, and now we are in at 11. Now we are at 11 reps on this one. So 9 more to go. That's how I do the my reps. And again, each and every time, once you re-enter like that next set, you go into it with like, hey, instead of building your way up, working your way up, you are immediately at like an RP 6 or 7, then 8. And that is what builds muscle actually, right? It's not like those RP 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like RP 7, 8, 9, 10 reps, which like really, like gets us there. And I do understand where like there's not a huge difference between like my reps and straight sets, right? And they are also not applicable for like every single movement. But at the end of the day, what my reps were, especially in the context of a contest prep, what it really helps us with is like it just helps us accumulate like more volume in a sense, right? Like if you do straight sets, it's just like more fatigue that goes alongside those building up reps. And especially in prep, where like each and every rep we want to conserve like energy in a way, we can still get a good amount of volume in, which like signals like, hey, muscle, stay there, while having less fatigue. So at the end, like straight sets, my reps, the result of like growing muscle and so on is like similar, but the big picture, on the big picture, I do believe with my reps we can just accumulate more volume over time, because we just can recover from it better, both in the off season but also during a contest prep, where recovery becomes very, very limited in a sense. And also just like from mind perspective, I feel like, hey, just more comfortable, like knowing like, oh, I have to do hey, let's say here, work my way up to 20 reps. I feel more comfortable doing that instead of like, oh shit, I have to do 4 sets or 5 sets on the leg extension. I just feel like easier doing, hey, an activation, and maybe 5-6 cluster sets working my way up. It's just mentally easier for me, instead of like knowing, oh, I have 4 sets, 5 sets to go. So that's the main thing. So yeah, at the end, some partials. That is it. Long set. Long set. But no, loving it. So yeah, and after, some calves to go on this piece. That feels amazing as well. As always, long pauses down there, straight knees. Again, myo reps here as well, activation, and then I just do 2 myo, like working my way up to 6. Yeah, nothing really to focus on here. Just make sure you have a long pause on these. And then heels up and forward. That is it. I like to do full warm on those, just also for like joint health perspective. I feel like that's still like getting it fully shortened is beneficial here. because then at the end I go into partial reps anyway after the final, final my rep set. So yeah, calves is very calm, all about moving with your ankles. Nothing else really should move on this movement. It's all angle movement basically. So yeah, that was the activation. I think one more rep to go. And you can see the activation, like the last reps, they slow down. You see, the concentrics have to slow down. So this basically means you are close to failure. Like once the concentric slows down, and each and every movement is different. For some, you slow down more. For others, you slow down less. Let's say for a hex squat, let's say their failure can come just more abruptly. So there's like more, internal experience knowing that. But some movements, it slows down more. So it's very depending on the movement. Yeah, Garheimer raises for the last movement of the day. Here as well, my reps, activation, then 3 sets to failure. And I feel like it really benefits also for my posing practice of like just keeping my midsection a little bit more tight with that. So yeah, really like that movement. A lot of spinal movement here, controlling on the way down, making sure I don't use too much momentum here. And that is it, guys. So we are 8 weeks out now, and hope you enjoyed that entry, and I will see you guys. Yeah, like I want to make them like at least every 2 weeks, so in latest 6 weeks out time. See you then, guys.